Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video what I want to do is just go over a quick sort of thought process on looping when you're working with the DOM. Okay, so basically I just have a quick DOM boilerplate, which just means I have an HTML file, I have my jQuery script tag linked in. You can head over to code.jquery.com to go grab that link, and just have a script tag, looks like that. Okay. And then I have a script tag for my own personal JS file that's going to have all my JavaScript and a link for CSS. So this is generally the one that I usually use. If you're not familiar with jQuery, do watch my previous jQuery videos. In this video, I'm going to talk about this stuff using jQuery and plain vanilla DOM, so that way you can see both. Okay, so let's just set the stage here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create 3 divs. So div, let's create another div, and let's create another div. And we're going to do something just really simple, just to kind of illustrate a point. So I have my 3 divs in my HTML file. Let me actually just close a lot of these extra files. There we go. And then open up index.js. And we're just going to want to iterate const my array. We're just going to have an array of strings. We're just going to make this really simple. Hello, goodbye, farewell. Okay. And basically what I'm going to want to do is I want to create an H1, an H2, and an H3 in all 3 divs. So that means we need to loop over this array, and we need to loop over those divs. Cool. So when I'm looping over an array, I can just use my normal method of looping. Okay, so I can just use my normal method of looping. So I can just do for, word of my R. So for each word, we will do the same thing, and then just loop. Okay. Then what I can do, actually, I'm not going to use a for of loop. Instead, I'm going to use the for each function. Why? Because I'm going to want the index, which I can do with a for each. So I want to do that. So I'm going to do my r dot for each. But again, these are just standard built-in JavaScript loop stuff. Pass in my callbacks. So value index. Cool. And the reason I like this is because now I have access to not just the value of each loop, so hello, goodbye, farewell, but I'll also have access to the index 0, 1, 2. Okay, cool. So first thing I want to do is, since I want to do this with each div, I need to go grab those divs. So I'm going to use jQuery to grab those divs. Okay, so I'll just do this and say divs. And, well, yeah, divs, and that's going to be a const. So that's a new variable, const divs equals the jQuery function. And I'm grabbing all the div tags. Okay, and that should give me an array of divs. The problem is that it's not a normal array. Okay, if I console.log it, okay, I'm getting this weird jQuery object thing that acts as an array. So I'm going to console log that first, so just so you can see what I mean. So again, I'm using jQuery, so that's where all the $ signs are coming from. So if I were to open this up, I'll open it up with Live Server. Okay. Give me a second for it to pop up. There it goes. Control Shift I. Let's bring up the inspector. And if I go into the console, okay, and again, we looped it 3 times, so we see the jQuery object. But you see, we have this jQuery object that kind of looks like an array. So see, it has like the 0 spot, the 1 spot, the 2 spot, and each of them has one of those divs. Problem is, it's not a normal iterable JavaScript object. Okay, it's not like an array or a map or a set that's iterable. Okay, I'm assuming maybe they just didn't have symbol.iterator yet when they first created the jQuery library. That's my assumption. Nowadays, you could probably build that into it, but then you would have to change how everybody uses jQuery. So for you to access those different elements in jQuery, you usually would have to use this .eq function. But what if I just want to loop over them like a for loop? So to loop over all those divs, they have to create a special function. Okay. So it'd be divs dot each. And then inside this, I need to pass in a normal function. So I do need to use the function keyword. Okay. Okay, I do need to use the function keyword. And the way this works is the first thing I want to do is I want to turn the div into a jQuery thing, to a jQuery object. So I'm going to use my jQuery. Well, first we'll say just a single div. So we'll create a variable called div. So let me make that const again. Const div equals jQuery function. And then we pass in this. So it'll take this, which is the div that we're currently looping it over. It passes it to the jQuery function to turn it into a jQuery object, which I'm storing in this variable div. And now I can just do what I wanted to do in the first place. Okay, which is just I wanted to append an element to it. So const div dot append. Okay, and what do I want to append? I'm going to use backticks actually, because usually you pass a string to create a new object. Oh, actually, well, first I actually have to pass in the jQuery function to create a new element. Carrots. Well, I'm going to use backticks for the string. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually use... Okay, I'm actually using the index to figure out whether it's an H1, an H2, and an H3. So I'm just going to use index plus 1. Because in the first loop, that's index 0, so it'll use an H1, and then the next loop it'll be an H2, and then an H3. So I'm doing that. So that'll create a new H1, 2, 3 tag. Okay, just to show you some kind of fun stuff. And then the text inside that tag, so then we'll create some text inside that tag, and that will be the value, okay? The text, which is the text, so it'll be hello the first time, then goodbye the second time, then farewell the third time. So now, again, we're first looping over hello, and as we loop for hello, we're going to loop over each div and append an H1 that says hello. Then it loops over goodbye, which then loops over each div and adds an H2 that says goodbye. And then it does the same thing for well. So that's what we're doing here. So the point is, when you're looping over like a normal iterable data, JavaScript arrays, JavaScript sets, JavaScript maps, you can just use a normal built-in JavaScript loop stuff, whether it's a for loop, a for of loop, the for each function for arrays, you can use that. But when you're looping over a collection of jQuery elements that you collected that's in a jQuery object, you have to use this each function. Okay, so always the question is, what am I looping over? Am I looping over an array or a collection of jQuery objects, which is what I get back when I use the jQuery function. As long as I got that clear, then I'll know which one to use when. And when you loop over the jQuery collection, it doesn't automatically give you back a jQuery object. This is actually going to be the div, and I need to turn the div into a jQuery object, which is why I have to wrap it in the jQuery function. Because again, all the jQuery functionality is built to work with jQuery wrappers. So I always need to take the elements I want, grab them, and turn them into jQuery objects, which is what this function does, the $sign function, if you have the jQuery library loaded. So I know this probably sounds like a lot at the moment, but that's the logic. So let's take a look and see it worked. See, we looped over the 3 words, hello, goodbye, farewell, and we looped over all 3 divs to see all 3 words. Cool. Okay, so that's how you would do it in jQuery. So that is the jQuery version of that. Okay. So I'll just label that the jQuery version, if in case you want to just grab a screenshot right now, jQuery version. And now we'll do the plain vanilla JavaScript version. Okay, cool. Whew. Okay, and now we'll start the same way. My r dot for each. So I mean, this beginning part stays the same. I'm passing my callback, value index. Okay, in this case, now I need to grab the divs. So I'll just have a variable called divs. I'm not going to call it $divs, because the $sign is just a convention when you're working with jQuery objects, that you know which of your variables are jQuery objects, because you made those variables have a $sign in front of them. It just helps you think through it. But since I'm not working with jQuery anymore, it's just going to be const divs. And that's going to equal document.query selector all. So I don't want to grab just one div. I want to grab all the divs. So query selector all grabs all the elements and builds an array of them. So if I do this, that's going to give me an array of divs. But it is a normal array. So in that case, I don't need to do what I did before with the weird each function. I could just keep doing what I was doing. So I can just do divs dot, or I can even just use a for loop now. So we'll say for div of divs. Okay, and then we can just do div dot, well, first let's just say const. First we're going to create our header, which will equal document.createElement. So we actually have to create the element. And then again, I'm going to use that same logic as before. Okay. So I'll just borrow that from here. Now I just need to get rid of the carets, because it just needs to be like h1 or h2 or h3. So again, the first time that'll be h1, the second time it'll be h2, the second time it'll be h3. So that creates the tag. And then I want to change the text. Header dot inner text. I just want it to be equal to the value currently. So again, first time hello, then goodbye, then farewell. Because again, this for loop is inside the function, so it has access to the function's variables. So this for loop is in the scope of the function, even though the entire function is not all in the scope of the for. Let's just think, as you go deeper and deeper. This is why, tabbing your code is so important, so you can kind of makes it easier to see the scope. Inner text is the value, and then we'll do the appending. So then we can just do div dot append child. And then here we pass in the new div, which is, with the stuff. That's the header. And that should do it, because this will loop over the array. This will loop over the array of divs. And every time we do that, we're attaching whatever to the div. So this should end up with the same result. So let's just double check. Yep. And there you go. You got the same result. See, we looped over the div, and each one gets hello, goodbye, farewell. Hello, goodbye, farewell. Okay, so that's the plain vanilla version. Okay. And there you go. Now you know how to think about looping when you're working with plain vanilla JavaScript for DOM manipulation, or looping with jQuery elements with plain vanilla DOM manipulation, or with just DOM manipulation. And yeah, have a good one. I'll see you guys in another video sometime soon. And make sure to head over to devnursery.com and join the Slack channel and the Discord channel. Meet other developers. It's good stuff.